Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. So, in some back channels, there's a little discussion that's going on where it's possible that there's going to be upwards of 12,000 Al Qaeda and ISIS fighters that are going to attack cities. One of their main targets will be hospitals. So, law enforcement obviously is not equipped to handle this, and so we need to be very aware. So, there's these things. I listen to these chatters all the time. This one's pretty, I would say, pretty reputable. So sometimes when we disclose this stuff publicly, it takes away their edge of surprise. So they may not strike, or if they do strike, their strike is not as effective. So we need to be always vigilant. But especially now, because we know the deep state is on the ropes, and they're going to try everything. Even their last ditch Project Bluebeam has been disclosed, and everybody's like, aware of that, and so that's probably not going to happen. Or if it does, it'll be so ineffective that it's not going to make a difference. So we need to look at. And we've been talking about this for years, the possibility of terrorist attacks on a very large scale. Because we know that the Biden administration, the Democrats, basically let terrorists come into our country on a massive scale. Sean Ryan's show, he's had a former CIA analyst that's been on his show. She was in Benghazi. I was in Benghazi. And she says the same things that I notice in Benghazi and the terrorism and all that kind of stuff. She says that there's upwards of 10,000 terrorists that have come into our country that they know of, right? So what do you think they came here for? To convert to Christianity and be kumbaya, with Americans? Right? Radical Islamists don't mix well with anybody else, even other Muslims, right? So that's not a good thing. It's not a good sign. We need to be protecting ourselves and our loved ones. Be very vigilant going forward. Of course, it's not about being, scared in the fear mode, because that will leave us vulnerable. So you have to stay in that love vibration and stay intuitive. It's not a good thing. All right, so we'll move on. Disclose that. I think it's my duty, when I hear some of this stuff and it seems legit to me, to get it out there, right? Not to hold it back, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to be the guy that if it doesn't happen, everybody looks at them and goes, you fearmonger. So, that I'm not like that. Islam doesn't mix well with anything. Unfortunately, that's pretty much true, right? So, always remain in the love vibration. Yep, or on the lake, very good. So it does make a difference, because it helps you to, like I said, stay intuitive. All right, so let's look at a few things as we go forward. I think there's going to be a lot of difficulties. Some of those difficulties, of course, will be the weather.
Good evening, everyone. I have a big update. What's going on not only with our tropical weather, what's going on with our severe weather, because both has ramped up dramatically. This hurricane is not only trending with all main models. There's a little bit of difference I will show you in this video, but potentially a major hurricane as it makes a big turn in the coming days. Now, our severe weather has ramped up as well. Chances for tornadoes for today, but also for tomorrow. And we're seeing a lot of damage and winds coming through as well. I'm going to show you the latest information in this video. What is more likely your outcome, not only in the tropics, but what's happening with our severe weather. So make sure to subscribe and follow along for updates. Now, starting in the tropics first, because we have this very strong wave that's coming towards the Lesser Antilles in a few days. Now, when this reaches here, it's not going to encounter much wind shear, if any, none around the center, and it's going to be going through warm waters all through this section, all through the Leeward Islands, all through Turks and Caicos and the Bahamas. Now, could potentially make it to where this trough is breaking this high pressure, giving it a chance to go to the north, affect East Coast as well. Still could be a fish storm, everybody. But also, if it makes it there quick enough, the high pressure that's left over the southeast of the U.S. will guide this into the Gulf. Still showing it's going to take about 7 days to get over here towards the western MDR domain development region, but it's trending on all of them. That it will be southern coming off the coast of Africa. That'll let it tap into warmer waters, get away from the drier air, and it will go further towards that north as it starts getting pulled by the high pressure, taking that west-northwest path. Now, whether it's here by a certain time or whether it's further up the road, all depends on whether this goes up the East Coast or a fish storm or in the Gulf. So here's the new trend. This is a Euro AI is going with everything else that's seeing this, showing that once it reaches around 8 days, it's going to pass by Leeward Islands, go by Turks and Caicos, go by the Bahamas, and potentially strengthen all the way down towards a strong major hurricane, everyone. Now, this is all the way past 10 days still, but if you're in a pattern where a high pressure is directing traffic, it takes days for that wave to go further towards the west. So just because it goes from 7 days all the way past 10 days just to go to this little portion does not mean that this is not forming out here into the Atlantic. The question is it going to be broken and head towards the north after this, or is it going to go towards the west, getting to...
All right, so you guys see that is really getting close to my prediction of Miami getting absolutely hammered by a very, very significant Cat 5 or above storm, and that's what this is looking like right there. So now I also said that it would hit and it would just go right up Florida and just hammer all of Florida. So I saw this last year. It didn't materialize last year, but I still feel it's in play. Doesn't mean that this one's going to be the one. As you hear him saying, it's looking like it's 10 days out. So we still have some time there. Now, one of the reasons why a lot of these storms and earthquakes are popping is because we have powerful planetary forces are pulling the Earth apart. So as the sun shoots its electrical energy into the Earth, it's like imagine you stick I remember my little sister would do this. I don't know why she did it, but she just would do it occasionally. You think the first time she would learn, but that was kind of the way she was. So she would take a bobby pin and she would stick it into the electrical outlet. I don't know if some friend showed her to do that one time or what, and they just thought it was all funny, but she would do that. It would knock the power out because the breaker would go, and we hear her screaming. We're like, "Oh, Terry, put the bobby pin in the electrical socket again." So it's like that. So Earth is getting the electrical shock from the sun, and it's causing everything to short circuit, earthquakes, volcanic activity, tsunamis we've already seen, and we're also going to see bigger ones, but also storms. All right. So these hurricanes are really probably going to ramp up to the level that I saw. Let's listen to a little bit of this. Now, that corona hole you're seeing there on the sun is absolutely massive.
Impact, and because of the loading of energy from that continuous high-speed stream impact every 28 days or so. And in fact, this one's likely have 2 high-speed streams that sweep by us back to back. It has been causing a lot of geophysical disturbances on our planet. There is a strong connection between coronal hole high-speed streams and giant earthquakes. These are like megaquakes, magnitude 8, magnitude 8.5 and greater. Of course, we just had that magnitude
10.3 coming.
8.8 megaquake off the coast of Kamchatka. That followed effectively right after the 11th rotation of this, when we had 3 back-to-back high-speed stream impacts. Because you'll notice most of this coronal hole here is to the south of the equator, but it does have these trans-equatorial portions. And so it's when that portion, the high-speed streams emitted from that, sweeps by the Earth, that you get the solar wind velocity go up, the solar wind density goes down anomalously low. The two together seem to be linked to enhanced earthquake activity. So we've been talking about the enhanced earthquake activity as a result of this coronal hole high-speed stream going all the way back to like the 5th, the 6th, and especially the 7th rotation. 7th rotation was March, end of March. We had that magnitude 7.7 earthquake in Burma and Thailand. And well, with the 11th rotation, right after these 3 impacts, and then 1 follow-up impact from another coronal hole that was following right behind this, so 4 back-to-back, we had that 8.8 megaquake. So we are in an earthquake watch right now, but this is just one energetic influence of many active today because it is 8-8. A lot of people consider this numerology portal. They call it the Lionsgate portal. So that is active. And we also have a full moon today, tomorrow. It really goes exact in less than 24 hours. That always is an energy culmination as you get the moon on the other side of the Earth.
All right. So today is the, like he's saying, is the 8-8, the Lion's Gate. So the Lion's Gate basically is, goes back in time. We're also in the period of the dog days of summer. Now, the dog days of summer goes all the way back to ancient Egypt, when the star system Sirius would start to appear on the horizon like it is now. And they would get flooding on the Nile. They don't get flooding on the Nile anymore because they now see, it's probably going to get some, because I've seen this today quite a bit. It was a little bit yesterday because we're getting a lot of energies that are coming in. They started yesterday. So maybe, I'm being effed with, but it could very well be because we have a lot of energies coming in. So you may see me, you may have been seeing this as well, maybe on phone calls or whatever. But there's like a glitching that's going on in the internet because of all this high-speed energy that's coming into Earth. Probably the Schumann resonance is going crazy. I feel it. So it is the Lion's Gate. Now, a lot of people said the Lion's Gate was going to be some kind of massive event. I said no, but there are obviously massive energies coming into Earth. So the Lion's Gate is like that. It can be, energetic changes and so forth. The energy that comes in will start to affect us in the next few days. All right, so you guys know that I said that it was around the middle of August that I saw some significant activity that was going to happen as far as Earth changes. All right, so we'll see. So it says, I'm looking at an article that says, this year in particular, the Lionsgate portal will be very dynamic and unique as it will reach its pinnacle on August 8th. The day before the monthly full moon. So tomorrow, the 9th, is the Sturgeon moon. And I guess up in the Great Lakes, you used to catch sturgeon on this particular date, full moon. And it was one of those things that was very, very good. Sturgeon. I like sturgeon. I don't know if you've had it before, but great fish. And so that's how they call it. That's why they call it Sturgeon moon, because around this time frame, is when they were catching the sturgeon, right? Probably still doing it. All right, so this is a meaning that we will have a lot of opportunities to create the world we want to live in and make our dreams come true. So, I've talked a lot about this, how all of this negativity that's coming from the deep state, we can, cancel that out with our consciousness. A lot of the stuff I've talked about for literally decades now, with my work with Intuitive Warrior and unleashing intuition and all that kind of stuff, where our consciousness can affect our environment and can affect those around us. All right. Ever walk into a room and you get that creepy feeling. You look across the room, somebody's giving you the stink eye. All right, so it happens the same way if you walk in a room and you have someone that you love very much and they're looking at you and you look around, there's a loving look. All right, so it works both ways. So canceling out the negativity with the love frequency, right? Again, it's tough for a lot of people to understand it. So dog days of summer, the portal is open from July 28th through August 12th during the Leo season. Since they're so hot. So it used to be when the Sirius portal or star system would come up, they would think that we have two suns. We have the Sirius sun because it's the brightest star in the night sky other than our star, right? And so they thought that, well, we have two suns now, that's why it's so hot, so, thinking back then. Who knows? Maybe it's some truth to that. I don't know. So I don't think so. So it is a very interesting, looking at the past. The ancient Egyptians revered the star because of its association with the goddess Sopdet, who brought the seasonal harvest and the new year and gave warnings about the annual flooding of the Nile River. So they would see it and they're like, okay, it's time for flooding. And we're getting these coronal mass ejections and so forth. And we're like, okay, it's time for tsunamis. All right. So flooding, so earthquakes, and, Neptune, the god of, the sea, was also the god of hurricanes, earthquakes, and tsunamis and all that stuff. So is there some kind of movie out there right now about Neptune? So we got to look at that. All right. So, Deep State has their ways of telegraphing what they're going to do. And it usually doesn't work out so good for us if we're not paying attention. So Scott Jennings doesn't let Anna Kasparian off the hook when she calls ICE Gestapo. So the reason why I want to focus on this little conversation here is because, we have the wacky world of Democrats and leftists. They don't listen to reason. They have their idea, they get emotional about it, and all they do is scream. They don't listen to reason at all. And here's a great one to give you an idea what that looks like.
What if your joint pain
After
isn't
these
from
two
age,
commercials,
isn't
I
from
thought I had
wear and tear?
Thought I had it fixed. Obviously, when I redid this,
Here's the number one biggest scam at the shooting range. They know your scope isn't zero.
I will just say Republicans right now are trying to recruit and give bonuses to people who want to serve in ICE. And Democrats right now and people on the left are encouraging violence against people who want to serve in ICE.
They are? How
and are putting them in harm's way every day.
How
so
exactly?
the two parties and how they're treating ICE agents right now.
So this is pretty typical. The evidence is out there on a massive level, and then you get the leftist radicals. Like, where is it? I don't see it. Yeah, they don't see it because they don't listen to this stuff like we do. They listen to the Trump derangement syndrome stuff. So that's all they know. So yeah, in a way, I understand this leftist idiot, but she needs to expand her consciousness a little bit and have an open mind, but she doesn't. You're going to see.
I think Republicans embracing recruitment of ICE and Democrats encouraging maybe violence.
So we're just going to make a declarative statement like that without providing a single shred of evidence.
Okay, so how effed up is she going to look if we start to have the violence from these radical leftists and the ISIS and Al Qaeda that we know that are in our country? How stupid are they going to look then? They probably won't even get it on their news flash. The only way they're going to know about it and this is quite frankly the way they do find out about it, is if the terrorists actually attack them, physically attack them. Because the leftist, the media, the Mockingbird media is trying to let this happen, is instigating this, and they're probably going to kick this off, like I said, and I think it's going to happen pretty soon.
You have
How-
not seen the
how
myriad
have
stories of
Democrats-
ICE agents.
Okay, hold on.
Democrats every day are calling them the
No.
Gestapo. Do
Hold
you
on.
think that
Hold
helps
on.
or hurts?
Well, they do act like Gestapo when
Now
they're
you're doing
showing
it.
up.
Now you're
Yeah,
doing
well,
it.
they are.
I
If they're
assume-
just showing
I
up
assume you
at,
condone the
in
violence.
Penske trucks.
Do you condone the
at
violence?
Home Depot.
Massive
Listen,
people
I don't want my tax dollars going to that garbage, okay? Those people do
Enforcement
not
of federal
deserve
law?
to be treated that way simply
Who does?
because
What
they
people?
might be
Do the ICE
undocumented.
agents deserve to be having violent acts committed, rocks thrown at them?
No, they
people
don't.
trying to
They don't.
kill
And
them?
those people who do that get arrested, and they should be
And why
arrested.
don't
and
they doing
prosecuted.
that? Because they've been told the ICE agents are
Have you
Gestapo.
considered the fact that in a city like Los Angeles that has a massive immigrant community, when they see their mothers or fathers or family members rounded up, that leads to a lot of rage and they retaliate. I'm not saying they should. That is criminal. They should not assault
sounds
a
like you're
police
condoning
officer. Let me just tell you something. Someone messes with my family, I get violent. Okay, that's how I feel
Okay,
about family.
good to know.
I protect family. So don't be surprised when people feel angry when they feel that there's a bunch of feds in their city
There's a
invading
violent
their
streak.
city,
There's a violent streak in
going
the country
after
right
people
now
who are just day
against-
laborers at a Home Depot.
All right. So those feds that are coming into their cities to save them, they don't like it because they have these illegal aliens there that vote for their political party. That keeps their political party in, so that they get all their handouts that the regular people don't get, and the people that come here illegally get handouts because that's what the Democrats do. They just throw money at everybody. You know, we work for that money. We pay taxes, or you buy a tank of gas in California, you're going to pay, let me think how many, 20, 40. If I bought a tank of gas in California, I would pay $45 more than I would if I got it here in Nevada. $45 more. That's insane. Where does that money go? It goes to these illegal aliens to have them, get free health care, to get free board and so forth. Gavin Newsom gave how a lot of people during COVID got like a $500 stipend because everything's locked down. There's no jobs, nothing is available. So he gave everybody $500. He gave $500 also to illegal aliens. So why? Well, they can do that, and how can they do that? Is because they tax Californians to death, right? And it's weaponized. Yes, very good, Trina Clark, you rocked it. Weaponized regulations, land grabbing agenda. So this is what we're seeing with the Democrats. You have a leftist idiot talking point like that will scream and yell, and all the other leftists, because their herd mentality, they don't think for themselves. So if one of them screams and yells, and they all scream and yell at the same time, hive mentality. Yeah. So it is very frustrating to see these MK Ultra people, scream and yell and all linked together on something that is like, on a common sense level, is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And it's frustrating the hell out of the rest of us that have common sense and can think. These people are just friggin' everything up. All right. So let's go on to a little bit more. They don't want to listen to the real stuff. Trump makes major economic announcement. After this
rewires you.
petition. Right.
Big retailers don't want you to have this zoom lens, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. So there's this new.
If it had not been for COVID, these numbers would have been substantially better. But even taking account President Trump's last year in 2020, we saw a $6,400 real after inflation gain in income for the average family. And that compares with Joe Biden, which was a measly $551. So, Mr. President, you gain 10 times more income for the average family than Joe Biden. It's because of your policies.
And that's taken into consideration COVID, which A lot of times you don't have to do that, but
Because we were up,
I'm very glad you did.
we were up over
No, we were at-
almost 8,000 until.
Look at that number.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we looked at, which families did the best. And we have data from the Census Bureau that shows by income percentage. So the 25th percentile is the lowest income, 75th percentile is the highest income. And what I find fascinating about this, Mr. President, is every income group did better. The red is President Trump, the blue is President Biden. Every single income group did better under President Trump. But what's really amazing is look what happened under Biden. The lowest income group lost income under Biden. They were poor 4 years after Biden's presidency. No gain virtually whatsoever for the middle class. And the rich was the only group that did better under Biden, which is ironic because Biden keeps saying he was trying to get rid of income.
So under Biden, the rich became more successful, not under Trump. The poor became poor and the rich became richer under the Democrats, because the Democrats want to create a communist system, which is exactly that. Everybody else, except for the commandants and so forth, the people at the top of the communist totem pole, they're the ones that are rich. Look at Venezuela. All of the family, Maduro's family, they're all billionaires. And most of the good people have already fled Venezuela, and those that are left are like in extreme poverty. So this is what happens with communists. It never, ever works. The Democrats want to push it because, like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all these other Democrats, they're going to be extremely wealthy, and we're going to be extremely poor, right? Not fun. Not fun at all.
Income inequality. He made income inequality worse, not better. It was President Trump that reduced income inequality.
These numbers just came out, by the way.
And then finally, these are the numbers and I just showed you.
I love how Trump just he takes it down he takes it down himself and moves this through. He's a man of merit. He's down in the trenches doing the work. A lot of people want to say he's all for the rich and famous, and it's absolutely the other way around.
Percentage terms, Mr. President, these are the numbers in dollar terms. So even the lowest income, 25th percent, gained about $4,000 income. That's a lot for a lower income family. $6,400 for the middle class and almost $10,000 for the richest. So you can see every income group did better under Trump than Biden by a wide margin. That's the story.
I think when you look at them, they're all something, but this one chart really says it better than anything. If you look at this is great, but this chart is pretty amazing right here. All new numbers. Okay.
I was trying to zoom in on it, but it won't let me. All right, so all new numbers, whatever that was, right? They're probably fantastic. So I'll have to go back and find that and look at it a little bit better. The vets, the elders, the working class are suffering while the illegals are benefiting. It's absolutely RC. And at some point, Angel Eyes, I know you didn't get any money. I didn't get any money because I'm not in their system. So I'm okay with that. They can keep their dirty money. Trump doesn't get money from the system either. He doesn't take any money from the government. And I think that's ideally the way all of us should be, So if I can be that way. I am that way. I don't get any money from the government. I can't say that I get my retirement, but my retirement, if they took it away from me, which they almost did one time after I left the CIA, they tried to take all my money. That was the one thing that fortunately I had the Veterans Administration would let them take all of my money. They took a chunk of it, but they didn't take all of it. And from that, I was able to build back better, right? Build back better. No, not under Biden. I was make America great again. And under Trump, I became great again. So and I'm still, you know, becoming great, just like all of us. I hope the rest of you are becoming great again too, because Biden definitely did hammer the hell out of us, and we're still having the effect from that. And we're still having, unfortunately, shooters, Manchurian candidates. So Emory University outside of Atlanta, shooter, and it looks like the SWAT team came in, ran straight in, shot the guy. I guess the guy shot at a police officer, injured a police officer, but they killed the villain right away.
Shooter is dead at Emory University in Georgia, and that there is no longer a threat to the community. The school reported shortly after 5 p.m. East Coast time that a shooter, an active shooter, was near the CVS store on campus. The headquarters for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is right next door. Students were warned in this alert to run, hide, and fight. Police say an officer was injured while responding to the shooter. It's unclear whether he was shot, and there's a lot more we don't know, including who this gunman was, what kind of gun he used, and why he targeted this school and this location. Let's bring in former Secret Service agent Michael Matranga now. Michael, thanks so much for being here. You train people in these active shooter drills. That alert that went out to the entire campus of run, hide, and fight is pretty alarming.
It is. One of the things that over the last, 30 minutes, I've been trying to catch up on information that I've pulled away that seems to have worked was that early notification that there was an incident, alarming the people within that vicinity to run, hide, or fight. And so I think that the call to send that out immediately quite possibly have saved some lives.
Do we think that there's any significance? I mean, I know this is very early on. Police have yet to brief anybody on this at this point. But the fact that the CDC was right next door to the CVS drugstore where the shooting took place?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been kind of playing through my head is what's the motive here? And, I know we're all focused on Emory University, but, was it just by happenstance that across the street was the CDC? Was the CDC the true target? Or was this just a crime that occurred at the CVS? We really don't know yet. So, it could be, one of three of those situations where it was a crime that happened across the street. It could be a targeted or it could be.
All right. So did you guys see all of those vehicles, all those police vehicles? Let's see if we get back to there. All right. So you see a lot of police vehicles. See how they're like just lined all the way up the street, not just there, but I don't know. It looks like 100 police vehicles. I mean, I see them. You have to catch it just the right angle. So if you look where it says Emory, there's vehicles that go all the way up the street there, police vehicles. So if we have an active shooter in a hospital, CDC, whatever it is, Center for Disease Control, right? CDC, right there by Emory University. We already know that they target our children, right? This is one of the things they do. And if they go for the hospitals, like I'm talking about, like has been some of us are talking about, that is going to pull a lot of these police vehicles in. Now, once they go to one target, now imagine this road lined with explosives, right? So that will be something that these Al-Qaeda guys do this stuff. They start one shooting or explosive or something like that. And then they draw in the professionals, the police, the hospital forces that are coming in to rescue and help people that have been wounded. And then they set off another one. All right. Or they would attack. They would attack that group that comes in, ambush them. All right. So R on another side of town and R on another side of town, there is an even bigger attack. That's how Al-Qaeda works. So Al-Qaeda is here in thousands. ISIS is here in the thousands. So a CIA analyst that worked overseas against all these particular, groups is saying that here in America, because she's not working for CIA anymore or any government agency, she's independent. Because she's independent, she can speak openly about this. From her research and her group's research, she's saying that we have at least 10,000, right? So that's one of the things that we're going to see going forward. These attacks, I've said it for a long time. The George Floyd stuff was just such child play just to get everything ready, right? That was when Trump was still, in a position where he could kind of control things, control the border. Once he was gone, they pulled him in on a massive scale, right? And they positioned them just like they've been doing the illegal aliens, giving them money, giving them a place to live, giving them free health care. So you see these Al Qaeda and ISIS types, and probably Ukrainian Nazis that are here on a massive scale, guys, and Chinese, right? So we're going to get slammed, right? Now, how and when remains to be seen. Now, if they do hit the hospitals first, because hospitals are not well protected at all. Yeah, they got a few security in there, but are they carrying are they body armor and long guns and stuff? No, right? So if that's why I'm saying this. Maybe those places should be thinking about that right now. Now, that's probably not going to happen because hospitals, after the COVID scam and they did the COVID, injections, and they just shut down a hospital so they could just bring people in and kill them with remdesivir and, drugs that basically made them die. So it looked like the COVID thing was bigger than it actually was. Who created COVID? The NIH. American taxpayer fund NIH, which they couldn't do it here in America. So they went in Ukraine and Wuhan and created a bioweapon, right? So this is what we're up against. We're up against forces that are within the government that are against us. We have law enforcement that is going to be overwhelmed, and I have no beef about that. They have what they have, They're trained to the level they're trained at. They don't have some of them, if they're, if we're lucky, some of those police officers have good combat experience, but not all of them do. Not every police officer has combat experience, and even the ones that did have combat experience, was it as a National Guard guy driving around in a Humvee with body armor and a well protected Humvee with up armor and all that kind of stuff. And if a roadside bomb went off, they survived it. That's not going to happen here in America. They're not driving around in Humvees with machine guns and body armor and upper armor on their sedans or whatever they're driving, SUVs. All right, they're going to get smoked. A lot of these guys, and that's going to make the rest of them hesitant, right? And anytime you're in an offensive campaign where you have terrorist types, which are very offensive minded, and you go a little bit defensive, you're going to get wiped. You're going to get wiped very quickly. So this is what I predict. I've been predicting this for many years, and a lot of us have been, not just me, but a lot of veterans have been warning about this for many, many years. And we know that we're at that inflection point where the deep state is up against the ropes. We're taking away all of and we're happy about this. We wanted this, but there are going to be consequences, right? So you have to be very open-minded and ready. Maybe it won't happen this weekend. Maybe it won't happen next weekend. Maybe it won't happen next month. Maybe it'll happen during Christmas, because I've seen Christmas is not very happy, right? So just be aware, guys. And that doesn't mean it's going to be at Christmas. It could be all the way up to Christmas. So just be heads up, like I said. All right. It's going to be catastrophic. Right? So catastrophic when it does happen. Now let's look at what we're trying to do to get rid of these people that have basically allowed these criminals and these terrorists to come in our country and to destroy America. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton moves to declare every runaway Democrat seat vacant. So this is another opening salvo, to the deep state guys. Another opening salvo to take them down. Paxton announced Friday afternoon that he has filed a historic lawsuit with the Texas Supreme Court to declare all 13 seats vacant. The rogue Democrat legislators who fled the state have abandoned their duties, leaving their seats vacant, Paxton said in a statement. These cowards deliberately sabotaged the constitutional process and violated the oath they swore to uphold. Now, these savages, as I'm calling them, were also part of bringing in these savages that are getting ready to go savage on us, savage mode, right? So, yeah, we need to start taking out the main problem. So it's like we would go overseas and we would fight all these terrorists and so forth. We take them out, take out their leadership. But it's the imams, the people in the church, the Islamist church, the radical Islamist priest, imams, that were really the problem. All right. So they were almost untouchable. Sometimes they got touched. All right. If they were mixed in with there was like in Pakistan, in Islamabad, they had a big standoff in Islamabad. They had from one group, radical Islamist, in this one mosque. They had underground facilities, and basically they were harassing everybody in the local environment. If women weren't in burqas, they would like harass them, beat them on the street, on their own, right? This happens everywhere where there's radical Islamists. We saw this in Afghanistan when Al-Qaeda was there. So we have Al-Qaeda here, and again, here in America now. Now, so ladies, you want that to happen to you? Because if these guys, take down a city, which in some cities they actually have already, everybody's going to be wearing burqas, right? So this is coming for America. We have to push back on it. If you're not gonna like be part of America, be American, then you got to go. You got to go. All right, you're going to get deported. I don't care if you're an American citizen or not. You're going to get deported if you're not part of American. You don't integrate. Right? It's got to happen, guys. We got to start pushing this. I don't care where it comes from. Now we let Mormons get away with it a long time, right? But even in Utah, there's more people there in Utah that are non-Mormon than are Mormon. And you should hear some of the Mormons I've heard talking about what goes on in Mormon churches. So I think that's probably going to change too. So we have a lot of radicalism in religious practices. They basically get carte blanche because they're religious. That's got to stop too. So anyway, in Pakistan, in Islamabad, that's a capital. It's the capital of Pakistan, just like the capital of DC is radicalized, right? So we got to clean it up. President Trump is going to bring in National Guard because it's getting out of control there. All right. So what happened in Islamabad is the president basically brought in the special forces guys. All right, special like Navy SEAL type guys, right? They weren't trained at our level, of course, but they're. I liked it when those guys showed up because they were badass. And I remember they came to some of the consulates where I was stationed at, like in Lahore and some other places, when we had basically riots that were going on. We got the Pakistani special forces guys show up, and I was like, that's almost like American Marines coming. Not quite, but pretty close, right? So it was fantastic. So these Pakistani special forces guys raided this mosque, and it was open warfare because these guys had weapons, and they knew they had weapons. So open warfare, hand grenades going off, explosions going off. The Pakistani special forces went down into the tunnel systems, were fighting down, below the mosque and all these tunnel systems and everything. Now, meanwhile, the head guy that was all, boistering and everything about, we need to, like, get right. He wouldn't say radicalized, but he was saying, women need to do this and men need to do this and blah, blah, blah. And he put on a burqa, a women's burqa, to hide him. And he tried to slip out and they caught him. They had him on camera trying to do that. It was like incredible. So that's what will happen to most of the leadership that's involved. You look at Nancy Pelosi, you look at all these other people, Chuck Schumer, all these people that are at the top of this negative food chain. If they get pressed on, they turn into crying little imbeciles, all right? And that's what's coming, all right? So but meanwhile, they're trying to destroy America. So they need to be, held accountable. So these Democrats, I hope to God they basically take them out of they take their seats away from them. This is such bullshit. This is evil beyond belief. These people need to go bye-bye. So their out-of-state rebellion cannot go unchecked, and the business of Texas must go on, he added. I have asked the Texas Supreme Court, 9 members, all Republican, to declare what has been clear from the beginning, that the runaway members have officially vacated their offices in the Texas House. Hoo-yah. Good luck with that. I hope that happens. Jeez. What a bunch of bullshit, from these, total retards in the Democrat Party. We need to absolutely get these out of here. So I see you guys talking about Baptist preachers. Not all Baptist preachers. I don't know if you're saying they're bad. I've had a lot of good Baptist preachers. There's good preachers in Islam, imams, and in every religion. Excuse me, in every religion. So, one bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch, in my opinion. All right, because I just pick out the bad apples, and if the other ones are good, I just wash them off and eat them. Right. So, but if the whole load's bad, yeah, it's all got to go. But hopefully we can get in and take out a few of the bad apples and preserve the rest, because that's what they did in Pakistan. They basically took out those radicals. Now, the unfortunate thing is they didn't take it far enough. They didn't go out into the countryside, because that's where most of them are hiding, right? So they radicalize people out there in the countryside. There's, they're all like pedos out there. It's pathetic. And if anybody speaks out about it, that they come after them. The judicial system's corrupt. It's tough. Pakistan, in a lot of ways, reminds me of what America was under Joe Biden. Back when I was there, and at one time when I was there, Pakistan was had the most terrorist attacks of anywhere in the world combined, everywhere in the world combined, right? So that's what we're going to see here in America, right? And that's from thanks to the Biden administration and Democrats for decades, basically create. I'm speaking to you from someone that has been overseas, that have fought for America, for other countries, and for my teammates from radical people, and I understand how this happens. A lot of us understand how this happens. The Democrat Party and some Republicans have allowed this to happen and have fomented it because they thought they were going to get all the power and control. Evil, absolute evil. They have to go. I keep saying this. And every day that goes by and they're not taken down, which this maybe, I hope, I pray that this time we go hard against the Democrats and we take those people out of office and we don't slow down. We keep that momentum going and we start to destroy the Democrat Party, because the Democrat Party is here to destroy America. You have to understand that. I know you have people that are in your families that are Democrats. I do too. But if they can't understand by now how corrupt, how evil, and how disgustingly bad the Democrat Party is, we just got to work around them. Work around them. You think I was like, okay, well, some Pakistanis, they might not approve of us taking out these terrorists that are killing them. But no, I didn't think that way. I was like, I'm going to take those damn MFers out. And we did. We took them out like it would stagger you how many we took out, right? And that needs to happen to the Democrat Party, right? All right, so they are the enemy. All right, J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance. So we're going to see J.D. Vance
I found
about
this in
this.
the woods. We dropped Amber's notebook in it. And now I'm worried that...
Oh, that looks good.
This little tool is costing shooting ranges and the ammo industry millions.
You're just back from Indiana. Did you have discussions on redistricting with officials there?
We did. We spoke with the governor, with the Speaker of the House there in Indiana, and the Senate President. And the message I delivered is pretty straightforward. We want a unified Republican team. We want to fight together, win together, make big things happen for the American people.
Okay, so redistricting in Texas. Florida just announced it. Ron DeSantis was very approving of that. He wants to see that go forward. And we have it now in Indiana. So we need to keep this going. We need to get those Democrats that are in those positions out of there because they always vote together. Hive mentality. They don't care about America. They want power. They want communism. They want the top people in control, and everybody else basically is a slave to them. They have to go.
And obviously the people of the state of Indiana together. But one of the things that you see in a lot of red states is blue states have really aggressively gerrymandered such that they've actually made it harder for the majority of the state of Indiana to have their voice heard in their federal elections. Because if California has crazy gerrymanders, Illinois has crazy gerrymanders, New York has crazy gerrymanders, what it does is it actually suppresses the will of the people in states like Indiana. And the other thing that we talked about, and I didn't realize this, Maria, until a couple of years ago, that, for apportioning representatives, you actually count illegal aliens. So even though illegal aliens theoretically are not supposed to vote, we know sometimes they do, you still count illegal aliens for congressional apportionment. So California has way more House seats than it should because they have such a high population of illegal aliens. So they get rewarded for welcoming illegal aliens into their state, giving them federal benefits, actually asking the tax.
So there you go. These big states like California, New York, Chicago, and Illinois have all of these corrupt Democrats, and they're the ones that are controlling all of America through the gerrymandering. All right. So they're taking all the seats that would normally be, maybe half and half, at worst case, Republican, Democrat, but it's like 80-90%. Democrat, and because they have so many congressmen and senators, not senators, but so many congressmen, they have been controlling what happens in America, right? Like he's talking about taxes and illegal aliens coming in, trying to impeach Trump twice in his last term. So it's out of control. We have to really compensate. Maybe even overcompensate for what's going on with these other very, very blue states and the corruption that's there. So there's also corruption in red states. Look at Georgia, extremely corrupt, right? So they took away 2 Republican Senate seats through the corruption that they did during the last, stealing of Trump. And then, 2 years later, they stole the 2 red Senate seats that were in Georgia. So it's happening. It's being turned around all over the place. Now, President Trump has ordered action to be taken against drug cartels. Okay, so the drug problem here in America is really out of control. I lost my son to drug abuse. If drugs weren't so available, especially, in Maryland where, he was living with his mom at the time, So it's like it's a heroin capital of the world there. Maybe the world, but at least in America, they're in Baltimore. All right, out of control. Even the Naval Academy was having problems with heroin addiction. So it's widespread. It really needs to be taken care of if it's available. And a lot of kids, unfortunately, it's cheaper than alcohol. Getting drunk, do heroin. It's insane. All these other drugs that are available to our youth now, and to adults. It's not just the youth. You look at almost every major city and even little cities. If you go to like a blue state like California, they're riddled with drug addiction. So that needs to definitely be stopped. It's very frustrating. So Lisa, your son is addicted and homeless. Yeah, that's very frustrating. Very frustrating. So it's so many of us I knew people that had, children that were addicted and they died. And, I was like, well, why couldn't you help them? It's like, then I found out, so I found out, how unbelievably tough it is. It's insane. You've, never dealt with addiction in your family, and you have other people around you that are dealing with it, have some compassion for them. So it's something that needs to be addressed. President Trump is probably the one and only president that we've had, because all the other ones are benefiting from it. They allowed it. They make a lot. All the demon rats and a lot of Republicans too make a lot of money on allowing the drug trade to go through, guys. So let's look at what President Trump has to say about this. It is an epidemic. It's out of control. It needs to be fixed. And of course, President Trump is our man to do that. So that's not the one that I wanted. Right. So where is it?
People left and right that have been saying that I offered to send U.S. troops into Mexico to take care of the cartels. She wants to know, is that true? Do you think I'm going to answer that question? That's why I'm asking. We'll see. I will answer it. It's true. Absolutely.
So normally the commander-in-chief is not going to tell you what military operation is going on, obviously, because that puts the troops at risk. Then the other side, plans, and then they don't have the surprise that they normally would have. But he's basically saying it because it's time to let them know. And sometimes, like I can tell you that there were times where the enemy knew that Navy SEALs were going to come, and they ran away. Literally, they ran away from different places. Now that's not always going to work, but it can have an effect, and I think he's trying to work that right there.
Because they are horrible people that have been killing people left and right, they've made a fortune on selling drugs and destroying our people. We lost 300,000 people last year to fentanyl and drugs. They're bad news. Yeah, that's true. If Mexico wanted help with the cartels, we would be honored to go in and do it. I told her that. I would be honored to go in and do it. The cartels are trying to destroy our country. They're evil. And, we had 300,000 people die last year from fentanyl and all of that. We had millions of people brought into this country that shouldn't be here. The cartels brought them in. So if she said that I offered to do that, she's 100% right.
Are you disappointed that she denied that request, but she doesn't want?
Well, she's so afraid of the cartel she can't walk. So that's the reason. And I think she's a lovely woman. But the president of Mexico is a lovely woman, but she is so afraid of the cartels that she can't even think.
So yeah, the Mexican president can't fight the cartel. I mean, she possibly in position because the cartel allowed her to be in that position because they knew that she would allow them to do certain things. So the American military could counter that. So if he went in and if we, the American people, our military went in, because they're right across the border, like you heard from President Trump, there's 300,000, people that have died last year. What is it going to be this year? Is it going to be less? My son's added to the list. He died of fentanyl poisoning. So, and he was clean. And what happens, unfortunately, for addicts, they make that decision to go back again. Whatever reason happens, their brains work differently as you learn about all that. But he hit it, and so he's using drugs again. He doesn't have the resistance buildup that he had for many years because he's been clean for 8 months, or at least that's what I believe. So who knows how long he was using, but eventually, he got some fentanyl and some of the stuff that he was using, and that was it. So that's an unfortunate thing. You can have, and I know there's lots of beautiful souls out there like my son that have died, and it's frustrating for all of us. So the one thing that can help is to get those drugs off the street. And like I said, you go in any major city these days and you see zombies walking the streets. It's very, very frustrating. The only way you have to go to the source. Clean it off the street, it's just going to come back again because you haven't taken away the sources of those drugs. The source of those drugs are the cartels. All right. So that's what President Trump is looking at as a warrior, as someone that's been involved in this for, I'll say, even longer now, because I feel like the 5+ years that I've been here streaming and talking about all this stuff, I feel like I've been involved in almost like a leadership role, informing people and helping people understand what this fight's all about. So we've had great success. I think we're going to have more great success, even if the cartels, start to go crazy on us. They probably are funding some of those Al Qaeda and ISIS types that are in here. So, that whole system, we will win, regardless of what they do. If they kick it off, then it's total game on. Once they start this, we will finish it on some level. And it could be brutal. You have to be ready for that. You have to, adjust your mind. But we have to go through something like this. And who knows, maybe we won't. We have ICE, I promise you, ICE is taking a lot of those people out. They're finding them, they're hunting them, and they're taking them out. Maybe some of the ones they are taking out are, part of the drug cartels. But some of those people in the drug cartels, as I knew before I even left the SEAL teams, we knew that the drug cartels were being infiltrated by Hamas, Al Qaeda, ISIS, all of them. Over 20 years before I left the military, right? So that's like 25 years now, quarter century ago. So it is really starting to come to fruition now, and the Democrats allowed it to reach a level that it should never have even gotten close to, right? So not only do we have to take away the terrorists and the cartels, but we also have to take away the political establishment that has allowed that and benefit from that and massaged that to happen to a certain extent because they knew they would get even more power and control. They got, Luciferian, it's evil, complete evil. So the only way we overcome that evil at some point is to really annihilate it, right? So I like finesse. I use finesse my whole career. I was able not to get into any hardcore confrontations. I got into some pretty good ones, but I was always able to end them in a positive way. They didn't get too far out of control. So that's pretty much what we're shooting for right now. To have ICE agents basically to come in and take down a lot of these terrorist cells and a lot of these cartels that are in here, right? They're kind of one and the same to a certain extent right now. All right. So support your ICE agents. All the people that are getting involved in ICE now, is basically we're creating an army to go against the army that's here to take down America, right? Send John Wick, right? So John Wick, there's probably a lot of John Wicks out there already. I could, if pushed, I'll cross over to John Wick level, right? Yes, and you won't know it, and I will be very, very bad, right? So there's lots of us like me out there, guys. If this goes rogue, goes crazy, there's going to be a lot of us that are going to get the gloves are going to completely come off, right? So, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be okay, because there's people like me out there. If I get involved, it's gotten really, really bad, right? So we don't want that. I don't want that, right? At this stage in life, I don't want to have to go out and start slaughtering people, So, but I will if I have to. Absolutely. All right, and I know probably a lot of you get involved too, so that's good. All right, lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, because that makes you more powerful. Makes you more powerful, all right, in many different ways. Just holding that frequency makes you more powerful and projects that power out to these weak, dark souls, because you're light. The light is way more powerful than the darkness, right? And your love frequency that you can create just with your thoughts and your heart-centeredness, right, can be very, very powerful. All right. Okay, guys. Lots of love. Stay in the love vibration, and I will see you guys next time.